So this is part 4B of using the inspector to create a mockup and wireframe in Figma. We started off in 4A, which I didn't note it in that video, but I needed to make a 4B because I made a mistake. So I trimmed the video to the point where I made the mistake at, and now we are starting again in 4B. Okay, so in video 4B, where we left off on 4A, we were creating the nav bar. So we're going to continue to do that. Okay, so I made the white nav bar. We got the border. Let's go back to Figma, to the website, Linktree's website. And right here, if I hover over this element in the inspector, I can see that this is the container of the almost most top level element on the page, or the ones that can be visualized anyway, that we can actually see if we have a gift of sight. This is the container for a nav bar. So what it tells me is that this whole container is 1265 pixels, right? That's how wide the whole thing is, but we're going to focus on creating the nav bar. So that's not the nav bar. Is this the nav bar itself? No. Is this the nav bar itself? Maybe? No, I don't think so. Is this it? Is this it? This is it. Okay, so we're going to focus on this. And again, where we left off, it's 1201 by 88 pixels. We did that. And we saw that it has a background color of white. We did the border radius in the other video. Pixel, border color, border style. Okay, so we did all that. So we have the white border. So the next thing that I want to get is the logo. Okay, their logo. So I'm just going to kind of hover around and see what these things are. Okay, so that's that. This is, I don't know what, it's not showing up. This is, I don't know what either. This. Okay, here we go. We're going to focus on this one because that looks like what it is, the elements that are inside that we actually need. Okay, so since this is selected, we can see that it has a layout of flex, right? The layout is flex. We're displaying it as a flex item. Box sizing border box, flex direction row. Flex direction row means it's going horizontal. If it were flex direction column, if I delete this, it tells you all the different flex directions that you can use. So again, the inspector, I can't say enough good things about it. If you're learning design and how you kind of want to get really good at focusing on developer handoff, or if you are getting into web development, you're learning HTML, CSS, this is an appropriate, awesome tool to learn and reinforce all the different concepts that you learn, okay? So it is flex direction row, and we'll talk more about flex box in other series, but for now, it tells you all the CSS and style properties, okay? That's what we're focusing on, the inspector and how it can help us design better. So I want to focus on this, and the first thing that I see in this little kind of box is the branding, and that's a very common UX pattern, right? To have the branding right up here, top left in the corner, because that is how humans read. They read from left to right, okay? Left to right, from top to bottom. So I see this and I'm like, okay, how big is this little thing? This thing is 118 pixels. 118 pixels by 23.88. So what I want to do is I want to make something just like that in here. So I'm going to, for efficiency's sake, I'm going to do a screenshot. But first I'm going to unselect the selector. Command-Shift-4. You get that little cursor changes to this, I can't remember what it's called, but the little plus sign. So we're going to click and drag, and I'm just going to click and drag there. And it's going to show up down here, and I'm going to drag it into Figma. Okay, then I'm going to drag it up here, and I'm going to right click on it and bring it to the front. And now it will show up on top of this. Okay, so I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to go here. Marketplace, discover, pricing, and learn. So let's take a look. What do these look like? So this is the actual link. Okay, that's the whole menu. The whole menu is 380 by 79 pixels wide, 380. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a box, and I'm going to make it 380 pixels wide. And how tall did it say it was? "44 pixels high." Okay, 44 pixels. Okay. And this is where my text for the links is going to fit. Okay, so we're going to say, we're going to investigate. Click our selector tool, hover over this. It tells me right here, it's 93 pixels wide by 20 pixels high. How about this one? 20 pixels high, 20 pixels high, and 20 pixels tall. Okay, so that tells me that there's line height because this is only 15 pixels. So if I click on this, I can see that there's line height of 150% again, or 1.5. Okay, so we're going to come over here. Since they're using the same font, we're going to use our same font too. And actually, that's something I didn't talk about. You can also make font properties in Figma. Okay, you can save font and text styles in Figma. So we're going to do that right now. So jumping back a little bit to over here to the headline, we're going to click on it, and we can see up here in this box that it is indeed an H1. Okay, so digital projects, websites, ads, social media posts, they'll all have, unless social media posts are flat graphics, but they'll have headings. And in HTML, a heading is divided into 6 different levels: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. I don't typically see a lot of H6s anymore, or a lot of H5s, but definitely H1 through H4 is heavily used. And all these H1s and H stuff, all that means is that it is a title. Okay, it's a title. Headings are equivalent to the word title. And in HTML, in a code, headings have a hierarchy. If you put an H1 at the top of the page, which again is typical and common, it's a common user pattern, in H1, it will help your SEO, it will help your users understand the flow and, identify, because things in design like font size and text height and width, they all convey different meanings, right? If we have this big, bold, large size text, we're going to say, oh, this is important. That's what our brains think, If we have a paragraph text, we're going to think, oh, we have to read, and this is longer. This is a longer piece of copy. So as users, we understand through visuals, the visuals that are created. It's a language, visual language, So all of these things correlate. They're all intertwined, but I'm going to start running on, so I'm going to skip back. So we know that this is an H1, right? So what we can do here in Figma to, again, make this as realistic as possible and good for the developer to hand off in, what we can do is we can create text styles, okay? So I'm going to highlight this. I have it selected and it's highlighted. And I'm going to come over here to text, to the same little grid, and I'm going to click on the plus sign. And I'm going to say H1. And I'm going to describe it. Heading level 1 for primary for the first heading on the home page. Okay. This one is in the bright yellow green color. create style, create style. So now if I need to use an H1 anywhere else on the page, right? Let's see, is this an H1? Inspect. Yeah. Is it an H1? It's an H2. Okay. How big is it? 56 pixels. And that is totally okay. In fact, that is optimized. This one, you think to yourself, well, why does it look the same size as the other one? Is it the same size as the other one? Let's see. 56 pixels? It is 56 pixels, but it's an H1. And you may be asking yourself why. Again, headings play a huge role in SEO and in browsers being able to understand how your site is laid out and what is most important and what is not. And headings are probably one of the most important things that need to be structured correctly for you to get optimum traffic to your site. Okay? All of this stuff is connected. So this is an H2, but it looks like the same size. So that was a design choice, right? There's a design choices that we have to make, and then there's code and semantic choices that we have to make. They want their headings, the feel of this to me is that they want their headings to be bold and kind of in your face. It's okay that this is an H2, and it's even preferred that this is an H2. It's even really kind of mandatory that it's an H2, but it can look the same as the H1, just as long as the hierarchy is put on here correctly. So again, overall, upon just looking at the home page, they want their titles to be bold, in your face, and most of these titles are going to be H2s on the page. And then within a section, you can have an H2, a H3, a H4, but things can't be mixed up on the page. So you can't have an H1 up here and then one right here in this third section have an H1 and then this be an H2. You'll get an error that says, incorrectly structured. And I'll show you that in a later video too, once we get past the visual design of this. But it's important to note that as long as the HTML elements are in the right order, in the right hierarchy, that it's okay to make them visually appear the same way, okay? So this is 56 pixels, and so is this. It's just a different color. But getting back to the style, so now if we do need to have another H1 that's green, we can just do that. It's like, okay, I want another H1 that's green. Let's see if we can find another one on another page. Share your content. Let's click on this page and see what's on it. Is this an H1? Probably, because it's the first heading at the top of the page. And look at that. It is. It's an H1. But this H1 is the accent color, right? The accent 3 color that we made for the color bubbles right here. So what we could do in making our text styles is we can go over here and I can do Command D, and I'm going to take this and drag it, and I can see right here that these are the two same things, and you can drag things out of a frame like this, and you can see that it has been dragged out of the frame. It's not nested inside this frame anymore, right? So if I bring this over here and I say, okay, this H1 on this page, on Marketplace page, or Discover page, is black, or the dark color. It's not green like the other one. So what I could do is I can select this and I can break the link, okay? And I can recreate it, or I'm sorry, I can change the color of this now that the link is broken. I'm going to change it to the dark color. And now I can go ahead and I can say, I want this color to be a new style. And it's also going to be an H1 blackish color. Okay. Instead of calling it, I'm going to say blackish color is equivalent to accent 3. But just for, fast identification purposes, I'm going to call it blackish color. Okay. Create style. Create the style. And now, if I deselect it and I have my text styles over here, I'm going to come back to this one and I'm going to say edit style. And instead of H1, I'm going to say yellow-green. Yellow-green color. Yellow-green color, blackish color. And I don't know why I'm putting all those hyphens. Okay, yellow-green color. Okay, enter. There we go. So now, if we need an H1 that is the black color, we have it in our styles, right? So that was just a quick walkthrough on text and H1s and hierarchy. But let's keep going with this, okay? So over here, we're going to come over here and we're going to say this is a size of 15 pixels, link sans, okay? And actually, so sorry, one more thing. Let's see. Enter, I don't want to use enter. I want to use the same font as this, which is Poppins. Right? So the way that you find out is you go here, you click on it, and I'm going to come over here to the edit styles, and it tells me right here, Poppins. So all the text on this site is going to be Poppins for this example. Since Linktree used one font family, I'm going to do the same, and our font family is going to be Poppins. So in addition to H1, I'm going to say font family is Poppins. And this is useful, creating descriptions is useful because, again, it helps you be faster. Okay? So when I hover over that and I look at the description, font family is Poppins. There we go. I don't have to go way deep down into the style to edit it and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and I am going to create a style. I'm going to change it to Poppins as well. And I'm not going to mess with it too much because it still looks all right. But I'm going to create a style and I'm going to say button text. Okay, and I'm going to say font family is Poppins. This is the format for button text. Create style, and now we have button text, okay? So that's great. So the next thing we're gonna do is create link text style, okay? So I'm gonna type in T on my keyboard, keyboard shortcut for the text tool, and I'm gonna say marketplace, okay? So I typed in marketplace, Linktree, marketplace, discover, pricing, and learn, okay? So I'm gonna Command D, select it, and then Command D. I'm gonna say discover, and then I'm going to say pricing, Command D again, click and drag, pricing, and then I'm gonna Command D again, and what was the last one? Learn, okay? Learn, double click, Command A, select all, Command C, and I'm gonna type in, I'm sorry, no, I did that, but yeah. My mouse is really jacking me up. I really need to get a new one. Very sorry, I keep saying that. Okay, so over here, I'm going to have it selected. I'm gonna come back over here, And I'm going to hover over this, and it tells me the color 676B5F. Okay, so we're going to create a new color 67B65F. That's not the color. 676B5F. 676. Oh my goodness, y'all. 676B. So yes, I think I may be dyslexic. I've never been diagnosed with it, so I'm not making light of that. I'm not saying it flippantly. I really do believe that I may be a little bit dyslexic because I do that often. Okay, so marketplace, and that's the color. What size is it? Oh no. Did I change this? No, I didn't. Okay, but why is this showing? But oh, okay, so we're gonna break this because that's not button text. I don't want it to be button text. I want this to be link text, but we're not making that style just yet. So let's go back. So how big was it? It was 15 pixels. So is it 15 pixels? No, it's 16. So 15 pixels, that's good. So what else? This is 15 pixels, 1.5 line height. That's already set. Does it still have the same letter spacing? Does it have any letter spacing? If we look in the inspector, I don't see letter spacing. Oh, let's type in letter spacing in the filter. And it didn't show anything. So let's say font family. There we go. Okay, so letter spacing is not applied to the span. Is it applied to the thing that's outside of it? Let's check and see. To the thing wrapping it, inherit font. Okay, let's check. Let's type it in again. Letter spacing. No, that doesn't have any letter spacing. Does the link have any letter spacing? No. And does this have any letter spacing? No. And does this have any letter spacing? No. How about this? How about that? And how about that? This, and this. And the reason that I'm checking all of these is because a lot of times developers will put CSS properties way outside, not on the element itself, because it's an element that is going to be reused in several different places. Therefore, its styling should be consistent across a lot of different things. So if you have links all over your site, a lot of them you want them to look the same. So that helps with recognition. It helps with people understanding your site and where to go next time, and identification. It helps with so many things. So that's all part of UX and UI. A user experience is defined as a good one when people can find what they're looking for, when it's easy to find what they're looking for, when it's interesting to them, whatever it is that they're looking for, they find it, and then it's presented and displayed and delivered in an interesting, stimulating way.